Top to morning, laddies. My name is Chaz, and welcome to the. Sorry, hold on. Give me a minute to make sure. Yep. Okay. So, welcome to the custom card review. I know that usually I normally do the what ifs, but yeah. So, I'm still debating about which what if that I want to make. It's a Ben 10 theme, so it's like My Hero Academia. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into the custom cards. There is two cards that are crystal whole cards that you see on your screen, and rest are the Smiley Ball. So Smiley Ball is a archetype that is heavily specialized in. Hold on, I forgot to do one important detail. That is to add my favorite. There we go. So, yeah. So, Smiley Ball is a archetype that is based on like playing ball outside. You kids need to go outside, and yes. So now let's begin. Let me make sure. Yeah. So let's start things off with two of these. Crystal Ebel. Oh, she's a light level. Level 8 monster. Because the fusion materials is one Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon monster plus one Ebel monster. This card must be first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can select one monster from your opponent's field, place it into the spell and trap card zone, and treat it as a spell card. During your turn, you may reduce all damage taken to 0. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or by your opponent's card effects. This card cannot be attributed unless it is for a Ebel card. And this card can attack all monsters on the field. You can only use each effects of this card for once per turn. So basically, she's a fusion of the Rainbow Dragon, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, and Ebel. So, yeah, because in the anime, she kind of turned Jesse into a dark version, like took control of his body, and she turns his monsters into dark versions. So I was just thinking, if Jesse if a evil version of Jesse fused Ebel with the Rainbow Dragon, could create this. Yeah, and now so yeah. And reason why she has 4,000 attack and 0 defense is based on the parts of the dragon So now we move on to Crystal Karibo. And he's a light level 4 fiend effect monster. If your opponent declares an attack, well, this card is in your hand, you can discard this card, negate it, and then banish it. Banished it to the banish zone. And if you do, then you can add one crystal or one hero or elemental hero monster or card from your deck or graveyard to be added to your hand, except this card. If this card, or if your opponent activates a card effect while this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can banish it from your graveyard to your banish zone. Negate that and banish it to the banish zone. If you do, then both players draw 3 cards from the top of their deck to their hand. So it basically... Sorry if I'm using my loud voice today. So, yeah. So, this is supposed to be a fusion of Crystal Beast Dragon, like what I did with her, and Karibo, the Wing Karibo. And he's not a level monster, so he's not part of the level whatever it's called. So now we move on to the actual monsters. So let's start things off with Green Ball. Smiley Ball, the Green Ball. It's a light type monster, level 4, fairy effect monster. This card is normal summon. You can select one monster on the field, except this card. Equip that selected monster to this card. And this card gains that equipped monster's defense points. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can select one Smiley Ball card from your deck or banish zone. And add it to your hand. If you do, shuffle this card into the deck. So basically, this card represents you walk over to your opponent, or your opponent just randomly throws a ball at you, like a baseball at you, and you caught it. So yeah. Then we got the pink ball. I was going to say pinky ball. And it's Earth level 3 Fiend Union effect monster. I took this picture before I made some changes, so yeah. So if you control a other Smiley Ball monster on the field, except this card, you can equip this card to it, to that selected monster. And it gains this effect for once per turn. And then this card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard, quick effects, you can shuffle this card into the deck. Inflict 500 damage to your opponent's side points. If you do, then add one Smiley Ball spell card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of this card for once per turn. So yeah. So it's basically, if this card is equipped to this one, because Both of them are actually one and the same. Yeah. So then we got their boss monster. So, Team of the Smiley Ball. It's an Earth level 4 spellcaster XYZ effect monster. It takes 2 level 4 monsters on the field, or overlay it on top of a Smiley Ball with a equipped card. With a equipped card equipped to it. This card is unaffected by card effects, or by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, you can select one monster from each player's decks. The selected monster or monsters gets equipped to this card. You max 5. So, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished while this card has equipped cards, you can pay 2,000 life points, special summon those equipped monsters to your field in attack mode. If you do, then you shovel this card into the extra deck. So, its first effect is crazy, because what I mean by that is basically you can, and it becomes unaffected by your opponent's card effects, and it also grabs their monsters. So now we move on to, and plus if it gets destroyed, then those monsters become in attack mode. And like imagine if you steal like Snake Eyes heart cards and equip them to this monster. It's like if you chose, it's like the dodgeball. You have to choose people from your opponent's team to be added to your team. So now we're moving on to Throw of the Smiley Ball. It's a spell card. You can tribute one monster on your field specifically. Inflict damage to your opponent's life points, equal to the tributed monster's attack points. If it does, then you can select one card or one monster from your opponent's deck to be special summoned to your field in defense mode, ignoring its summon conditions, but its effects are negated until the end of your opponent's or till the end of your next turn. And it has the graveyard effect of basically you can shuffle this card into the opponent's deck, then both players draw 4 cards. So basically, So then we got Pack of the Smiley Ball. And it's basically a searcher. Like basically it searches out Smiley Ball monsters. But it skips your battle phase. But that's okay because it's, So then the new card, this one is called the smiley cover ritual, yeah, you select one monster from your opponent's extra deck, special summon that monster to your field, ignoring its summon conditions. But its effects are negated, and it is treated as a smile card, or smile ball monster. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card. All monsters you currently control that are treated as a smiley ball monsters gain 1000 attack until the end of your next turn. So basically, this strategy is simple. So use this card, or first you special summon this to like basically equip one of your opponent's monsters to it, and then you can use this to equip to this. And yeah, then you bring out this monster, and you can select like 5 monsters from your opponent's. Sorry if I'm a little bit like weird. So yeah. So then you had to like use this to steal one of your opponent's key cards or big boss monsters to your field. Sorry. And you had to tribute it. And it inflicts 4,000 points of damage to your opponent's life points. Like, say, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon or 5-Headed Dragon. That would have been insane. Like, you tribute 5-Headed Dragon, inflict 5,000 damage to your opponent's life points. And, yeah. Most of these cards do combo with each other's. Like this and this. Like, this card gets equipped to this, and then becomes this. And then that's one strategy. Like, this card stretches out to these, and these two, and then if this card gets destroyed, select one, or if this card gets destroyed, then you search out this card, and it also searches out this one. Like, you could do like weird stuff with this stuff. And sorry. And you can use this spell card with this to really get some damage off of your opponents. Like, basically you're basically walking into someone else's house, grabbing like a bowling ball. And chucking it at their face. And I don't recommend doing that. Because, yeah. Okay? And it was just a joke. So, not really. Okay? So, no. Let's do one more. Okay. So, I already picked one. On card. And, yeah. Because we already did Smiley Mall, and now we're on to Full Body Armor Man of the Blue. So, he's a Earth level 12 machine fusion effect monster. It requires 5 armored monsters, or armored cards, with different names. You can banish those materials from your field. You do not need fusion spell card. If this card is fusion summoned, this card gains those fusion materials effects. And so I know the armored monsters in the anime of season 4 aren't fully released, but there is some fan-made support for them. I always wishes that they came out earlier, and it would be quite cool. So this card basically gains the attacks of those. He would be devastating if you use, like, say, Big Bang Blow, Psychic Armor Head, the Active Guard, Overboost, and Trap Buster. 5 monsters to be, like, for this card would be, like, devastating. So, and this card can attack all monsters, all of your opponent's monsters on the field per battle phase. This card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. This card cannot be destroyed by non-machine type monsters. This card gains 500 attack and defense for each fusion materials from the banner zone by this effect, or by this summoning effect. You can only use each effect of this card for once per turn. So basically, it's like an XYZ monster, but instead of requiring 5, or instead of putting them underneath, you're basically tributing them. Yeah. And I already know there is one card. So this was designed to, like, have suit of armor type of vibes, like Iron Man or stuff like that. Yeah. So now we're on to the Deck Master. You could see it. Evil Hero Inferno Wing. She's a fire level 4. And if you guys go towards the comments and saying, like, something like, oh, she's a fusion monster, and not a effect monster. She's a retrained, should I say. Just to remind you. And because I don't want her to, like, end up, like, being super overpowered. So, yeah. So, let me So she's a pendulum monster. Pendulum is like her pendulum scale is 13. The highest one, I was going to make it 14, but then I was like, no. And once per turn, or so her pendulum effect is once per turn during your opponent's, or during your standby phase, you can select one monster on the field, except this card, inflict damage to your opponent's life points, equal to that selected monster's attack points. If you do, then skip each player's battle phase till the end of the turn. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. So, that's its pendulum effect. Its actual effect is this. Before the duel starts, you can place this card onto the pendulum zone from anywhere. If this card attacks a monster your opponent controls and it is destroyed, inflict damage to your opponent's life points, equal to this card's attack points. If it does, activate one Dark Urn Fusion spell card from your deck or hand to the graveyard. This card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, and if this card is sent to the extra deck from your field, you can pay 100 life points, destroy all monsters or all cards on your opponent's shield to the graveyard. Their effects are negated until the end of the turn. You can only use each effects of this card for once per turn, or once per duel. So, it's basically, I wanted to use her pendulum effect, or she has effects similar to Flame Wingman, but instead of going into battle like constantly, you have to basically selecting your opponents, and it's like I select Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon or Blue Eyes Chaos Max and inflict damage to you. So yeah. If you had Dark Gaia or whatever his name is, I'll look that up later. So, and using yeah. So, with that out of the way, there is another pendulum monster, or that is different from, has a different archetype. So, Deckmaster Herm Castle of Dark Illusion. It's dark, level 4, pendulum scale 0. All face-up monsters or monsters on your field during your opponent's draw phase gets flipped to face-down defense mode until the end of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. This card's name is always treated as a Castle of Dark Illusion monster on the field or graveyard. This card is normal summoned. If this card is normal summoned, all monsters on your field gains 1,000 attack and defense once per turn. And during your standby phase quick effect, you can select one monster on the field. The selected monster can attack your opponent's life points directly, but If it does, then the damage is half till the end of the turn. All monsters your opponent controls must attack this card if able. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. During each player's battle phase, neither player can activate any card effects until the end of the turn. You can only use it. Yeah, so because I had a thought about this for a long time. So what it means is that this card is basically because there was a lot of retrains and so like Bone, I can't say his name, that creepy kid guy from Yu-Gi-Oh! The original one. And so he ends up, if he was in the virtual world where he had a deck master, he could either play this card or I know you're gonna say something about me using that creepy kid, but it's I meant to say the old guy, the Star Hunter. Yeah. So this card, basically, it's a pendulum monster, and I thought to myself, what would happen if I put this as a pendulum monster? Because I know that the deck masters usually are out of play thing. Because I tried it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, and I was like, what is this extra slot? I was like, okay. And so I changed it from a fiend type monster to a zombie type monster. So that and it doesn't actually bother the original Castle of Dark Illusion. Because too much. So this is a retrain version. And plus with the attack of 1930 and defenses 920 would have been a crazy stats and plus if you use this in a pendulum or for zombie types, it's like how Merrick or whatever his name is, the guy, the Star Hunter that hunts monsters. So usually he always does things at night. So all monsters usually are encased in shadows. So that's what this card's pendulum effect represents. Compared to something like the where is it? Compared to her. Because I used kind of like a crafty moment things that like I crafted her into an archetype. to fit the theme of it. So she's basically she still inflicts damage, but instead of battle damage, it's the effect damage. So, yeah, if you put those two on the field, you would have probably been like, okay. So, and here's a question I will ask in the description. What are these cards supposed to be? Like this and this. I have them in real life, but why did they have these two cards? I don't understand. So I made I made one new monster and one field spell. Businessman of the Dark World. It's a dark level 4 Fiend the Effect monster. This card is normal summon. You can select one spell card from your deck that has this or this on it in its name or card text and add it to your hand, and if you do, inflict damage. So then a field spell, basically it gives all warrior monster or fiend monsters 2,000 defense once per turn. You can choose one of these following effects. It's once per turn. You can activate top share spell card from your deck or hand to your field. You can activate one, like basically this one or this one. And then third is basically you select one card from your opponent's deck to be sent to the graveyard. If you do, then you discard one card from the top of your deck to the graveyard. So basically, yeah, these cards don't make fully sense, but hey, I made them But yeah. So if you guys want me to do I will have to ask you this question. Do you like this custom cards? Specifically, the retrain of it or this, or like fusion of this and this. Okay? So have a nice day and have a good night or day, depends on the time zones. Peace.